during that, what may be the hazards, and what is the ultimate solution. Okay, so let's start with the point one. First of all, before painting the area, before painting any area, you might have seen at your home also, if someone wants to paint your bedroom or your living room, he has to prepare that wall. First of all, he has to prepare that surface, he has to take out the older paint, he has to fill that wall with the, we can say, a white cement, by which the surface will be plain, and later on he is applying paint over there, right? So in the same manner on ship also, we have to do first of all a surface preparation. In that, we are removing the old paint, then we are making that surface plain, by which the next layer will be uh, in the regular plane. Uh, it should not mismatch with the next layer. वो ऊपर नीचे नहीं होना चाहिए. That's why we are making the surface preparation. So during surface preparation, what can occur? There may be a dust of the older paint, there may be fumes too, and that can be inhaled. And if you inhale that, then there might be hazards as we seen. So what is the solution over it? The solution I wrote. You had to use a respiratory protective equipment. All of you are using mask right now. So protecting equipment that it looks like a mask only. In the next slide, I will show how this respiratory equipment looks like, and it has a filter along the mask. So that filter protects all of this fine particle who may enter into the mouth or into your nose. So yes, you have to use a proper PPE, and this is one part of the PPE. Right now, what is the next hazard? What is the next risk? You may have uh, allergies and a skin infection. And why it can occur? When paint comes in contact with you. To avoid skin contact, very basic, you have to use proper PPE. You have to wear a good coverall. You must cover your wrist, by which the paint should not get along your wrist and flow inside towards your arm. You have to use uh, hand gloves, and you should be done with the proper PPE, by which you can avoid the contact with the paint, right? So this is not limited to paint. You may involve in some sort of the chemical work too, where you might be using a hazardous or reactive chemicals. That time also, you have to check whether you are wearing proper PPE or not. Is that overall or the boiler suit is well defined to use with that job or not? If you are engaged with the chemical work, then we have the chemical suit which will take care of your complete body if you done in the proper way, and the chemical may not come inside that overall. So that is a resistant type of material the chemical suit has. So yes, but the for the paint purpose, we are not using the same suit. We are using a normal coverall, normal boiler suit. But yes, you have to make sure there is no any intervening point by which the paint may come in contact with your skin. Splashes, yes, it is but obvious. Splashes आ सकते, sprinkles आ सकते during the during when you are painting. So what can be done and what are the different hazards? Yes, generally it occurs when you're working aloft. Why it's so? Because the surface is not still. When you're working aloft over the side, hmm, or at the height, then due to the swell, due to the rolling, there is somewhat disturbance in the environment where you seated along. And as the moment is there due to rolling or pitching, your paint and your bucket may get disturbed and there may be a splashes or the paint. So what care you must be taken of? You have to tie the container in a proper way. You have to check when there is a disturbance. You should not make yourself engage in the painting. You should control your balance and the equipments too, by which there will be a less chance of splashes around. And the ropes that we are using to hold this container and even your equipment must be uh, held properly, by which there will be no contamination on ropes too. So let me tell you, when there is a surging, when there is a rolling and pitching, the rope which guides you during the operation may get contact with the other sharp object, and that rope or that line only get damaged due to the surging effect we can see. And here you have to see, due to the surging, is that rope is getting damaged or not, and if you have to see what alternative measures you can take. Otherwise, if that rope only break in between because of the surging, because of the rolling and pitching, then the whole concept will end here. Guys, all of you getting?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Enclosed space, ये सबसे खतरनाक है. Okay, in enclosed space, when you are engaged, when you have to paint that area, all the other hazards occurs in enclosed space, as there is less ventilation, there is no passage of the air at all, and you may feel plenty of hazards as we see in the initial first slide. So dizziness might be there, light headache may be there, drowsiness and distortions. So yes, these are the few hazards you may experience when you are engaged in painting inside the enclosed space. So what is a control measure, or what is a solution? You have to do proper ventilation before entering into the enclosed space. You have to follow the all required checklist and required procedure as we seen. But even though, you have to make sure that ventilation is continuous and that ventilation is well enough by which you can comfortably work, right? And any instance, if you feel any uncomfort, then you have to come out from the space. Don't stay there for the long. I did a lot this sort of the painting work inside the enclosed space, and plenty of guys has a complaint that they are facing headache, or some of them says, I get irritation होता है eyes में, throat में. So yes, these are the common hazards or common defects we may experience when we are entangled with this sort of a job. But yes, you must know the hazards, and even you should know the solution too. So some paints may have a flammable fumes, and if they have the igniting source around, then that paint or that paint area only can turn to fire. So we have to take care that there is no source of ignition around, when we are about to paint, when we are painting, or after a painting is being done, because the paint can emit the flammable fumes around. So you have to post some warning signals. You have to mark that area to restrict the smoking and to restrict the passage of the flammable gas around. So yes, you have to place a warning where you are painting so that there will be no explosion, there will be no fire. So you have to post warning signals and the poster. Sometime you may just grab one line from the two end by which that passage will be restricted, and there you can post work in process. Try to use other area. There are plenty posters on board. You can just hang on, no smoking around, so that the other department and the other guys will understand they should not smoke or they should not pass through that area only. So yes, you have to use this solution. You have to take care of this part too. Then machineries. Suppose you are painting in the engine room, or there are plenty machineries on deck too. The mooring equipments are there, then the cranes are there, so plenty gears are there and plenty machinery spaces are there too on deck. So you may involve in painting those of the machinery spaces. Now you have to give the instructions, you have to pass the warning to the concerned department, and even at that area where the switches are located, there you have to post the warning sign by which anyone enters in that space, they may head towards uh, they may head directly towards the switch to open, start, or close that machinery. If you place a warning sign in front of that control panel, then that person will get the alert. He will get a notice that someone is working over there and we should not start that machinery. So you have to stop, you have to isolate that machinery space by which there will be no uh, risk and there will be no injuries around. So yes, warning will take care by which no one will start that machine or that equipment accidentally, and the guys working over that machinery, they may not have any sort of the injuries, right? Then application of few paints. So you're not using one part of the paint. Now at home also, you have seen somewhere or the other, if we take the example of the luster paint, all of you must have heard what is a luster paint. सुना है सभी ने लस्टर पेंट क्या रहता है? नहीं सुना?
So luster paint is normal wall paint only.
हाँ हाँ, वॉल पेंट जो घर पे यूज करते हैं.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So each and every paint has somewhat their own characteristics, their own we can say benefits too. All the way at home also, if you want to paint your complete home, सभी wall पे you might not using the same paint. At some area you might be using a different paint. At some room you might be using a different paint. At exterior of your home you are using different paint, right? So on board also we may have, or we have actually a different paint. So the procedures and the precautions that we have to take for the each individual paint depend on the type of that paint. So the information about the each paint is being deliberately given with one of the sheet, that is MSDS sheet, that is material safety data sheet. So that sheet is like precautions and the complete information about the paint itself, what that paint has. I will play one video. You will get an idea what that MSDS means. And this MSDS we have to look after once we are involved in any sort of the job with that particular paint. So first of all, we have to understand what is a chemical composition, what may the other dangerous hazards that paint man can produce, and what are the safety procedures, what are the safety measures that we have to take if we are involved in that particular paint. So till now, we've seen few hazards and the general solution that we can uh, enroll if you are involved in the painting operation. So guys, can you please tell me what are the safety procedures that we can take if we are involved in the painting operation? Let me hear few.
Wear a proper PPE of you painting.
Okay,
Respiratory protective equipment.
one by one.
The respiratory protective equipment.
Okay, good.
Ventilation.
Ventilation,
Equipment are in good condition.
Warning signs and poster.
perfect.
And MSDS.
Yeah, MSDS, fine. So yes, few of you are following me. Hope all of you are getting the same point as these guys having. So okay, I will continue. I uploaded a few PPT onto the Moodle. Have you seen those?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. This is a respirator looks like almost it is looks like a mask only, but on the outer edge you can see there is a cartridge. So the cartridge must be changed regularly. The cartridge act as a, we can say, a filtering device which filters dust and the fumes from the oxygen, and you will get the desired oxygen without that contamination, right? We have to check what are the regular maintenance we have to do with this respirator. You will have the maker's manual. Makers means manufacturers provides you one guide that represents what are the general maintenance that you have to look for. Maintenance is not much. You have to keep this filter and this respirator well in place. You have to change these cartridges regularly. ऐसे नहीं एक डाला वो जिंदगी भर वही चलेगा, ऐसे नहीं है. You have to check them regularly. You have to change them, and the storage place that must be clean, and it should not spoil the respirator only. And yes, very obvious, you should not spare this respirator with anyone. You must use your own device individually. This picture is not so clear, but I hope so you can manage with this. First of all, in protective clothing, we have to don our coverall. It may include helmet, your safety shoes. All of you got the helmet and safety shoes?
No, sir.
No, sir, we got the safety shoes only.
No, sir.
What about the helmet?
No, sir, we
No, sir,
haven't
the
received
safety
it.
sir.
Helmet.
Okay, soon they will provide, or let's see what they come up to. Safety gloves. Gloves also we have different types and different material in that. So as per the job, we have to use different hand gloves, but basically you have to use the gloves. Goggles, yes, goggles we have to use as that sprinkles and splashes may go into your eyes or into your nose too. So yes, you have to use goggle during the painting operation. earmuffs and plug. If you are working inside the engine room or where there is a huge noise around, yes, you have to plug your ears with these earplugs. Safety harness, if you're working at a certain height or if you're working over the side, your PPE must include the safety harness. We've seen how the safety harness look like. It has a hook at the back stripe that you can hold with the safety line, and safety line may be tied up with the one of the strong pin. Even the fall arrestor may you can attach with the safety harness. Okay, I play one video, 5 or 6 minutes. What is MSDS? You will have an idea. Hi, this is Bob Gilbert again with the seventh video in my YouTube video series. I'm going to discuss how to read a material safety data sheet for MSDS sheets. The first thing we need to know is what an MSDS sheet is. All chemicals are required to have an MSDS sheet made up for them.
Sir, could you please increase system volume?
This is the maximum what I can do.
So this is from YouTube, no?
Yeah.
You can increase from system also.
My system is full.
Okay, sir.
Substance, including physical data and safety information. Now, one of the big things in Ohio, where I'm from, is what is known as Jared's Law. Jared's Law is named after a kid named Jared who was tragically killed in an accident in their cafeteria, where a cafeteria table that folds up fell on him and killed him. Now, all of a sudden, they passed several different measures. Jared's Law, the actual booklet for it, is probably about 10 pages thick of different requirements. We're not allowed to have any liquids in our classroom anymore unless they have an MSDS sheet. So a lot of teachers that use hand sanitizer and even soap, things like that, you have to have MSDS sheets for them now, explaining their hazards and reactivity and things like that. So why are the MSDS sheets useful? They're mainly used in the occupational settings only. They're not really used in personal settings, but MSDS sheets provide valuable data for safe use of potential hazards that can come about from using a given chemical. But because different companies provide different chemicals, different MSDS sheets can be made up for different variations of the same substance. So two soaps that are almost identical, one being the name brand product, one being a generic product, could have completely different MSDS sheets based on how they were produced and one little difference in the reactivity of the entire chemical. So what data do MSDS sheets contain? All countries and suppliers have different forms of MSDS sheet, so we'll concentrate on the US version of this PowerPoint. The form itself contains data on boiling point, melting point, specific gravity, solubility, appearance, odor, reactivity, flammability, and how to handle these, among others. So this is an example of the physical and chemical characteristics section 3 of an MSDS sheet, and section 4, which is fire exposure hazard data. Now, if you look, you can see they talk about boiling point, vapor pressure, vapor density, solubility, appearance and odor, specific gravity, melting point, evaporation rate, ignition temperature, which is flammability temperature, and auto ignition temperature. Fire and explosion hazard data tells the flash point, flammability limits, how to extinguish it, which is very important if it catches on fire because different things are going to obviously have to be put out differently. Special firefighting procedures,
and unusual fire and explosion hazards. Now, these are all extremely important because obviously different chemicals react different ways. We're using phosphorus in the lab. Phosphorus itself has an ability to explode tear. So, different chemicals are going to react obviously different ways, and with the different variations of mixtures that we can have out there, there's multiple MSDS sheets out there for whatever we want to use. So, additionally, chemicals also have an MSDS label on which 4 important factors are shown: flammability, health, reactivity, and protective equipment needed. On the first 3, the numbers used range from 0 to 4, with a 0 being a minimal hazard and 4 being a severe hazard. Here's an example of one type of label. As you can see, this chemical has a minimal hazard risk in all 4 categories to us. Now, the 0 on the protective equipment means that no protective equipment is required. There's also letters used, and on the next example I'm going to show you, I'll explain what that means. But in this case, the health, flammability, and reactivity ratings are all 0, meaning no potential hazards, no limited potential hazards. Now, here's another one, and as you can see, we have the original one represented on the right. On the left, this is just a straight up and down vertically written one that shows us the health, flammability, reactivity, and protective equipment ratings. Now, health, flammability, and reactivity here are given ratings of 1, which means they pose a slight risk, but nothing overly dangerous. Protective equipment is given a G rating. G means gloves, okay? Gloves and goggles, both, okay? Now, that being said, you should always wear goggles anyway, but wearing gloves can hurt you, even on chemicals that pose no risk. Hey! I am going for a
So guys, that was a short video which gives you some information about the MSJs. So as I said, it is a generic information. It differs chemicals to chemical. Okay, Aniket, I will share that link right now so you can watch that later on. Yes, so let's move forward. Spray painting. Normally, we do painting with the rollers and brush, but nowadays, many companies, even the individual ships, they like to do a spray painting. Spray painting will gives you result in quick, same manner, and the surface will look somewhat shiny and in the equal manner. So yes, plenty of companies and ship owners like to do a spray painting. It may help to cover a huge area. As an individual, if we put any person for painting operation, he has somewhat restriction. He has somewhat restriction towards reach too. But if we use a spray painting, then we have extensions. We can cover a huge area, and that area may be painted in the same level. But when we are engaged in this sort of the job, there are some hazards. There are some hazards, and most of them are almost the same that we have seen in a general painting. But there are the additional hazards too. using one of the device that is a spray painting machine for this job, for this operation. So when you engage in any sort of the spray painting, you must be familiar with that machine. There are some loops, there are some drawbacks about that machinery. You must be well aware of it. The working procedures, emergency stop, and if there is any obstruction in between, how to overcome that, you must be well aware of. So all of that you can check with the maker instruction. In market, we have plenty of the spraying machineries around. They have their own limits, they have their own characteristics and the benefits too. So whosoever the maker's instrument that you're using with, you must refer the manual. In manual itself, they may instruct you, this is the filtering device, this is the part that you have to change within this certain period, this is the operation button. If you want to stop in between, this is the emergency stop, this is the inlet, this is the outlet. So you have to study that equipment, you have to completely be in hold to start and stop and carry out the particular operation. So yes, sprinkles will be there, splashes will be around. So you must be done with the proper PPE and with the proper coverall. As we've seen, most of the dangers or most of the hazards may be same as of the normal painting, but yes, you have to manage the work with taking the safety precautions that we seen earlier. So this is something about the spray painting. Nowadays, it is widely used around. Before it being spray painting was used in a docks area where the show technicians or the show guys were using this sort of the machineries. But in 20th century, this machinery is easily available, and your vessel may have this sort of the spraying machine around, and the guys over there, they might be using this machine regularly. So yes, you may do paint with the brush or the roller, or you may do a paint with this spray painting machine. The precautions are same, hazards are almost same, but yes, the percentage differs. The spray machine will emit, or there might be a more hazard if we compare normal manual painting and with this spray painting machine. So let's move to the another topic. Safety precautions during the use of the personal basket. So as you can see from the picture only, you can see that one person is standing on that bucket, and that bucket is being hang with the help of that crane, or we can say one of the suspension. So this sort of the personal transfer is generally used over the oil rigs, over the other vessel, or over the other platform where there is no means of other access, and you have to shift persons or even the parcels or the provisions from one place to another place. Now let's see what are the hazards, what are the precautions that we have to take when we are involved in this sort of the operation. So before proceeding to the precautions and safety measure, first of all, we have to understand what is a personal transfer bucket. Okay, it can be defined as I said in the PPT, is a carrier device specially designed to contain and move crew safely and quickly from one point to another by lifting using a crane system fitted on either a floating or a fixed platform. So yes, we have to transfer the crew or the person from one place to another place. That one place may be fixed or floating, and that one place may have a crane or lifting device by which we can hook up that personal transfer bucket, and we can transfer that person from one place to another place. Now, during the application, where we are actually applying this transfer bucket or a basket, when we have to transfer crew from one place to another place. Now suppose you have to join the vessel at the dock, so there is no proper access to climb that vessel which is under dock. Then this sort of the bucket may use rotating crew. As I said, at the all rig or at the fixed platform, crew is being rotated regularly. They have the certain hours of work, and afterwards they being replaced by the other duty person. So once they are about to leave on the duty, they have to leave that place, and for that purpose we are using this personal transfer bucket. And the last one, when you have to lift any casualty from your ship or from the other resources. So here we'll see what are the different equipments associated with the personal transfer of the bucket. That bucket is not only one thing that we are using for transfer. There are the other equipment, there are the other means who are adjoined with this bucket. So if you have the bucket, job is not over. You have to check for these other equipments too. So what is it? Crane. You must have a lifting device, right? And unless and until you will not able to transfer that bucket from one place to another place. So yes, one of the platform must have the crane, and that crane must have sufficient safe working load. She must have the carriage limit by which she can lift the weight with the help of the basket. Taglines. Taglines means the lines which are used to hold that bucket. So yes, the taglines must be well enough, and they must be laid in the proper manner. Rigging. Rigging means how we are placing these lines, how we are using the taglines, how we are securing it. So all this complete procedure, we can say that is a rigging. We have to check how we are rigging that transfer bucket. That bucket itself may be provided with the plenty of ropes around. We have to check that bucket is rigged properly, so that the person who are inside that bucket may hold that lines. He may not get trapped inside, and he should be a comfortably sitting inside that bucket. So yes, we have to see how is the rigging arrangement with that bucket and associated with that bucket too. There must be a proper communication continuously during the operation. So the guy who sit inside the bucket or who is operating the crane, they must be continuously connected. There must be a link of communication by which, if they want to convey any message, there should be means by which they can pass, they can communicate. Yes, protective equipment is much essential. So as per the job involved, where you are working, where you are transferring from which place to other platform, you have to don with a proper PPE. So these are the required equipment that you have to look for. Now, we seen what that basket is, actually where we are using it, we seen. Then, except that basket, we seen what are the different equipment those are associated with that basket. So till now we seen three part. Now this is the fourth part. These are the precautions that we have to look after, right? So we have to see the duties of your teammates. It is not a single person job. Here you may involve two or three guys around. Someone may be engaged in rigging that basket. Someone may be engaged operating the crane. Someone may be standing there as a supervisor. So you have to appoint a person in a regular manner. You have to check with their duties. The plan must be discussed, and you have to verify whether they knows their duty or not. You must check the equipment prior using it. So yes, as we seen earlier, as we have to working aloft or over the side, what are the work equipment that we are carrying or you might be using, we have to check them in same manner. When you want to lift a person with the help of the personal basket, the equipment you are about to use for the operation, you must check them. You have to check the crane, you have to check the operation of the crane. The crane has a hook by which you are attaching that bucket. You must have to check that hook too. You may have to see the locking devices within that hook. So the equipment whatsoever you are using during the operation, you have to investigate. You must do a proper inspection, and when you check the reality, then only you can give a thumbs up and you can proceed for the work. But these are the precautions in prior starting work you have to check and you have to do. Then yes, the external factor, weather. You must check the weather around. If there is a rolling and pitching, if there is a heavy swells around, and by which it may topple your job, or it may uh, create a uncomfortable situation, then you have to hold for your operation. You have to wait till weather improves. Safe working load, I said about every lifting devices has somewhat limit by which they can work, they can hold the weight. So I don't think many of the case has that low limit, but yes, prior working on it, as we do inspection, we have to check with the maximum weight carriage limit of that equipment. And yes, you have to check with the safe working load. What is safe working load, how it should be calculated, what is the formula, and all that we will see later. But in general overview, you can understand it is a maximum limit that the device or that lifting equipment may carry easily and without having any defects. Train crew. Yes, for this operation, you require the crew, but that crew must be well trained and they must have sufficient experience. It's not that new cadet like you standing over there and operating that crane. No, you may have learned how to use the crane, but this operation is critical as it involves the safety of persons. So the guys for involved in this operation, they must know how to handle the equipment, how to carry out this operation. So crew must be trained and they must be well familiar to carry out this sort of the operation. Yes, communication I said in the previous point only. So we must have a proper communication and PP is a must obvious. So guys, I will hold right now here. Later on, we will continue what are the other procedures and the other factors that we have to look after when we are involved in personal transfer with the help of the basket. So guys, till now, any doubts or query that you have?
So what's that WX?
That is weather. मैंने उसको short form में लिखा था weather. Yes. Okay. Abhi, Aditya, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Give me the absentees list. Tushar,
Sir, roll number three. Roll number three.
roll number 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tushar, division 2. Yes, Tushar. I'm not getting you.
Sir, 073 is absent.
073. Okay. Fine, guys. Okay. I'll be leaving now. You enjoy your day. You have to do with your practicals also. Okay. See you. Bye. Continue.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.